We hear the words digital and digital transformation a lot. So I think before we start this, we should talk a little bit about the definition of digital. What is digital? Digital is an integrated approach that combines software, data, interfaces, and controls in order to design, model, simulate, analyze, control, share, and manage the creation and delivery and performance of products and services. Obviously, I just gave a very complex definition of digital. That's a really holistic definition of what digital is to enterprise. But digital is so much more than technology. And what we at ManpowerGroup really need to understand is that digital is the way that organizations will function, all the way from how they are structured, to how they lead, to how individual performers perform, to the very culture of the organization, how decisions are made, and how process works for the organization and for the people. So what is digital transformation? Well, every organization today is on some sort of transformational journey toward becoming more digital. That journey is an evolutionary process that touches the strategy, the culture, the technology, and the embedded processes inside of the organization. Why would they do this? Well, this is really about driving new value with customers and employees, being more competitive because they are being adaptive and anticipating their circumstances, partially by using all of the data nodes that they have inside of their organization and outside of the organization to anticipate where they need to go next. This evolutionary journey is very significant and takes a tremendous amount of time, but maybe less time than you think. In the Industrial Revolution, it took about 30 years for all of the technologies to come into play and help organizations get to that productivity level that all of that new technology promised. With all of the data and computing technology and horsepower behind us, those cycles are becoming shorter and shorter. In the last digital cycle with computers and technologies, it took about 10 years to actually work through all of the people and process implications. With this newest version of digital, with big data, connected enterprises, and digital threads, it will take even less time, but be increasingly more complex as there are more and more embedded processes and more embedded structures inside of organizations. All of these companies, all of our customers, face a very steep hill to climb when it comes to taking this next step on their digital evolutionary journey.
So now that you heard about digital transformation, let's take a deeper dive and look at some of the factors that have enabled this new reality. One of the things we need to look at is the multiple channels of consumption that exists in the digital world. Before, people consumed information or knowledge through maybe one or two channels, but now we are all omni-connected and we consume news, information, and we connect to employers, brands, and other people through a wide range of channels. And understanding all these channels is really important. The second important issue to consider is the always-on culture that characterizes modern life now after the digital revolution. Before, there was clear separation between work and private life or work and fun. Even though a lot of jobs are still structured in a kind of 9-to-5, 9-to-6 way, we're connected all the time. And the ability to understand when to approach people, what people's preferences are, and how to contact them with all the possibilities that we have is a real advantage. In the beginnings of the digital revolution, when organizations and brands started to kind of datify themselves, they recreated versions of their physical self online. Nowadays, and this has been the case for the past 5 or 10 years, we may first hear about an employer, an organization, or a self-employed individual through digital means. And sometimes they don't even have a physical presence. So understanding the virtual world and that digital is often the first experience that people have of others is really important. At the heart of all of this is AI, artificial intelligence. And now you probably heard a lot about AI and are thinking, how do I make sense of this? And I think there are two main ways to understand the importance of AI. One is in terms of prediction. Algorithms that make sense of data and can reduce the uncertainty in our decision making by basically filling in the blanks of unknowns. If you translate data that you have into a prediction of things that haven't happened yet, you can be much more efficient and better at your job. And the second one is in terms of automating, scaling certain tasks that maybe don't require our intelligence, our attention, and therefore we can spend our efforts and focus on things that are more profitable or more valuable. In the old days, when you launched a product, a new service, there was a very kind of a structured process whereby you launch, you see how it goes, maybe you revise it. Now that whole cycle has been turned into a much more dynamic and flexible process where you can simultaneously test things when you launch them. You can take on continuous and ongoing feedback from people. And it's important that this is utilized to kind of continuously improve whatever you're working on, whether it's a product or service. So everything is now faster, more dynamic, and perpetually evolving. Before, things were a lot more rigid and structured. Another important driver is big data, which really provides the raw ingredients or the raw materials for AI to do its magic. Without data, you can't have AI and you can't have better predictive models. So now that we learned about the drivers of digital transformation, let's take a look at some of the key technologies that are shaping this transformation.
Automation. Mechanical and computerized systems that operate and control processes with reduced or no human interaction. Machine learning. Computer systems that use algorithms to analyze data, learn from it, and then make informed decisions to act. Internet of Things, the network of everyday consumer and industrial devices and objects that connect and share data through software, electronics, and sensors. Blockchain, a highly secure peer-to-peer record management system that verifies and timestamps transactions. Cognitive computing, computer systems that interact and think like humans, supplementing our decision-making. Passive data monitoring, gathering data on customer or machine activity to better predict future needs and/or remotely manage.
Although all of these technological advances and innovations are very exciting, and it's certainly important that you keep up with them and understand them and how to use them, ultimately they don't change some of the fundamentals underlying work, human behavior, and leadership. It's important as a leader today that you know how to use and leverage technology, but I think paradoxically, technological innovations are highlighting the importance of the human aspects of leadership. How to relate and connect to others, how to have empathy, how to be humble, how to have and use good judgment, and how to provide people with a sense of direction and make their jobs and lives more meaningful, which AI or technology can't do yet. But we will have to change some of the ways in which we lead and manage because of the digital transformation and because of the rise of these new technologies. We need to understand how people will interact with technologies and how to make the most of a potential synergy between humans and computers. Whenever jobs are automated and done by machines or computers, new jobs are created. But if we want those jobs to still be humans or jobs for us, we need to make sure that we keep up with the changes, that we stay relevant, up to date. And if we don't do that, we're going to be ripe for disruption.